So I was just playing Mario Party 8 the other day when this creature decided to pop up on my screen. And I was like, oh my god, I totally forgot this guy existed. Which got me thinking, how many other characters in the Mario universe are there that I don't remember? So today I'm making it my mission to find all of the lost Mario characters that you probably forgot about. Like the spin-off games have the most obscure characters such as a redneck Donkey Kong or the Prince to Princess Peach. But before we look at the spin-offs, let's go through some of the mainline Mario games in chronological order, starting with Mario 2. You guys remember the main villain of this game? Well, it wasn't Bowser, but rather a giant frog in a robe called Wart. And he has never made another appearance since. Now I know Mario 2 was just a dream the whole time, but they brought back Shy Guys and Birdo, so why not have this frog as Bowser's right-hand man? That could be funny. So everyone always talks about the various princesses in the Mario universe, but no one ever mentions the other royal family members. Well, they actually did, but everyone kind of forgot about them. Because in Mario 3, you save the kings from all the castles, not the princesses. There's 7 of them in total, and they all have completely unique designs. And yeah, this is the only game that all 7 of them have been in. But besides this aspect, it's just kind of odd how the Mario series never looks at the kings, considering there's a royal castle in like all the games. But enough about the kings, let's get back to the villains. Like, how many of you guys remember Tatanga? Yeah, what's that? Nobody? Didn't think so. How many of you even know what he looks like? Well, this is Tatanga. He was the main villain in the original Mario Land game, and then came back as a boss battle in the sequel, but hasn't been seen since. He's like this alien guy who captures Princess Daisy this time. I don't know, I guess since Daisy doesn't really appear in the mainline Mario games either, there was really no need for him to be in them too. But then why not have this guy in the sports games as Daisy's rival? That'd be cool, actually. Now before we get into the 3D games, let's take a quick look at another game that was released around this time called Yoshi's Island. I mean the sequel to this game, Yoshi's Island DS. Now, if you know Nintendo, then you should be pretty familiar with the baby characters, as they still include them in a lot of Mario spin-off games. However, there are some babies that you may have not known existed, like the ones in this game, such as the introduction of Baby Donkey Kong, and he allows the player to climb on vines here. But while Baby DK did make a surprising comeback in Mario Sluggers, this other baby character never made a return since this game. And that is Baby Wario. What? Seriously? Just look at this cursed abomination. In this game, he carried a giant magnet that drew coins closer to him. I don't know, maybe his design was just too cursed to make another appearance. And if you're finding this interesting, then subscribe for more Mario videos like this. Thank you. Anyways, now let's move on to the 3D games, starting with Mario 64. There's really only 2 characters I can think of here, Ukiki the monkey and Hoots the owl. The owl provided Mario a fly around in certain levels of the game, which allows you to reach certain power stars, while the monkey was a lot more annoying since he just steals your hat. So could this be the first troll in a Mario game then? Maybe it's good he didn't come back in that case. Plus, I mean, look at their designs. Both of them are literally just animals. Mario Sunshine has possibly the most new character designs out of any Mario game. I think at least. I actually just made that up, to be honest. Now, everyone remembers the Piantas, but who even talks about the Nokis anymore? They're like these weird creatures that only appear in one level in this game. They came back in the Mario Baseball series, which is possibly the only reason people somewhat remember them. But still, even if you did, who remembers the variants, like Old Man Noki, or Nerdy Noki, or what about a Noki with a baby? Geez, these guys look way more freaky than I remember them to be. And there's also these raccoon guys in the game too. They only appear in this one shop and seem to be the only raccoons in the entire island. Their whole role is just to sell you shine sprites in exchange for blue coins. And Toadsworth actually made his debut in this game as well. You know, like Peach's butler guy. And I guess he's a forgotten character, maybe, not that much. But literally he was used in so many spin-off games back around this time, whereas now we never see him at all. Now the next game is Mario Galaxy, but before we do that, that, why don't we take a quick break and look at the Mario Party series. And it surprisingly has a bunch of one-off characters in all these games. A big factor for this is because each game has a different host that is usually a totally original character. Toad hosted the first 2 Mario Party games, but then when it came to Mario Party 3, we got this guy. What? Who is this? Dice Man? He looks like a toad with floating hands and feet with a dice instead of a mushroom. Well, his name is actually Tumble, who is a magical die that the fake Millennium Star brought to life. Alright, but then Mario Party 4 just had normal enemies playing dress up, but in 5 we had the Star Spirits as the hosts. If you didn't know, these guys were introduced in the first Paper Mario game and were never really used for a while until this game, where they came back and then right after were never seen again. Wow, so they got forgotten twice. That's rough. Then in Mario Party 6, we got 2 forgotten hosts in Brighton and Twyla. It's a shame we've never seen these guys again, because I actually really like their designs. And it plays into the whole theme of this game, where all the boards switch between day and night every few turns. In Mario Party 7, Toadsworth was the host, but we already talked about him. So let's look at Mario Party 8, where we have the most goated host, MC Ballyhoo. Just even the name, like what a character. Look at him, he's got a big smile with tiny eyes hidden there. And then his hat, which is a different character altogether. To be honest, I always thought that these were his eyes back in the day. And then his in-game voice is just hilarious.
Welcome to the Star Carnival!
Like, where did this guy come from? But anyways, back to the mainline Mario games now. Let's look at Mario Galaxy. They brought back the Mario 64 penguins, which was cool, and they even expanded into more penguin variants, I guess. Like this guy. Penguru is his name, and yeah, I bet you didn't even know he had a name for that matter. And he just kind of appears at the start of a few levels with the penguins in them. You know, talking about their problems and stuff. And I guess he's a guru too by his name. Then we have Guppy, this giant killer whale guy. He races you in a few levels for stars, so he acts like a mini rival for Mario in a sense. I like his design too, with his really chill looking eyes and his giant grin. Kinda reminds me of Bruce from Finding Nemo. Also, there were these really annoying robots that made you clean up their junk. And while I thought they did have a pretty interesting design with this whole grungy robot aesthetic, they're always mad at you though, so maybe these guys should just stay forgotten. And then the last Galaxy character who we really don't see at all is the chimp from Mario Galaxy 2. And yeah, he's literally called the Chimp. That's it. Basically, he's kind of like a game show host that rewards you with a star if you complete these certain minigames throughout the game. And he's got these sweet shades, so I'm petitioning for him to come back just because of that. And then the most recent Mario game that I want to talk about is Mario 3D World. And you're technically not in the Mushroom Kingdom, but rather in the Sprixie Kingdom that's ruled by these 7 Sprixie princesses. And we really don't see these fairies anymore at all. Sure, one of them did appear in Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, but who even played that game? Nintendo probably just didn't have a use for them, since the only reason they were made is because Peach was a playable character in that game, so Mario had to save someone else now. Maybe these fairies aren't the most forgotten because the game's only like 11 years old at this point and just got a re-release, but in another 10 years, I guarantee you everyone's gonna be like, who the heck were these little fairies? Now how about we take a deep dive into the world of forgotten Mario spin-off characters, because these guys get pretty odd and obscure. Like, don't tell me anyone remembers who that guy is. But first, let's continue with the fairies though, because the Sprixies aren't the only fairies in the Mario universe, since this next one was introduced way earlier. Her name is Wanda, who appeared in the Japanese-only Super Famicom game called Mario and Wario. You actually controlled her in this game and had to place blocks down so Mario wouldn't fall, because he got a bucket stuck on his head or something and just kinda walks around on his own. This game was pretty well the precursor to the Mario and Donkey Kong series, really. Now, the Mario sports games in general have a lot of random and obscure characters from other Mario games. But there are actually some characters who originally came from the Mario sports games themselves. And are they some out there characters with crazy designs? No, they're just like normal looking humans. Yeah, these guys were a part of the roster in both Mario Tennis and Mario Golf on the N64. And I mean, their designs are alright, but yeah, they're just like normal humans. I don't know. And then in the Game Boy Advance versions of Mario Tennis and Golf, they added like 50 humans between the two games. Jeez, these don't even feel like Mario spin-offs anymore. They're just like normal sports games now. And then in the original Mario Strikers, we have these really cool looking robot guys called the Super Team. They play out pretty well the same as the other characters, except now every team member can use the Super Strike, not just the team captain. They're just so weird though, as they look so out of place in the Mario series, like they're from a totally different game. Even Critter, the goalie, has a cool robot version of himself on this team too. So it's a shame these guys never appeared in another game. Donkey Kong! Now let's look at some of his games, because a lot of the characters here haven't been seen in decades. Like, we all know Donkey Kong, Diddy, Dixie, and Cranky, but who remembers Wrinkly Kong? Like, ew, who made that this girl's name? And then there's Tiny Kong, Chunky Kong, and Lanky Kong, who were all a part of the DK crew from Donkey Kong 64, and were all playable characters in that game too. These guys did return for Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, except for Chunky, but that was a pretty low-key game. After that though, Nintendo really hasn't used them at all. Oh, and of course before all of this, there was Kiddy Kong, who was playable in Donkey Kong Country 3. But everyone hated him so much in that game that I guess he never really had a big role again. But out of all of these forgotten Kong characters, I think my favorite one is this guy, Redneck Kong. Now this is the only character here that never made it into an official release, because he was supposed to appear in Diddy Kong Pilot, but that game was eventually cancelled. And I wasn't gonna include any cancelled characters in this video, but this was too hilarious to not include. Now let's move on to some forgotten kids. Or, orphans now, I guess is what they're called. First off is Koopa Kid. These are minions of Bowser that only appear in the Mario Party series. They just kind of run some of the minigames and help out Bowser. But okay, I guess Nintendo thought that there was just way too many of Bowser's kid characters that it got confusing. Like, we got Bowser's kid called Bowser Jr., some Koopa kids known as the Koopalings, and Bowser as a baby called Baby Bowser. So Koopa Kid had to go. And then the other kid that vanished was Donkey Kong Jr., the son of Donkey Kong. This guy started out in his very own game back in the day. Then he appeared in Super Mario Kart, which Donkey Kong himself didn't even appear in, and that's about it. We haven't seen him in forever. Funny enough, he was supposed to appear in Mario Kart Double Dash as Donkey Kong's partner driver, but was replaced with Diddy Kong instead. And I think that's really why we haven't seen much of him since, because Diddy Kong has basically stole his role. Time to go back to Mario Party now, because there's even more obscure characters from this franchise besides the hosts that we already looked at. These are all the toads that ran the various shops in the Mushroom Village, which acted as the main menu. They were really cool because they all had unique designs which we never really see on toads. There was like a bank teller toad, some game show looking toads, and even a fortune teller toad. A fortune toad, if you will. Besides just being a really cool way of displaying the different menus, I just wish these designs were brought back in future games, rather than, you know, just changing the color of the same generic toad. And now let's move on to a very special character that we have to look at. And some of you may know him as Perry the Oh wait, never mind. Wrong Perry. This is the lesser known Perry the Parasol. He only appeared in one game, Super Princess Peach on the Nintendo DS. This was a game where you played as the princess herself, so I guess they wanted to have some sort of companion throughout the journey, so they just turned her umbrella into a character, I guess. But this guy has like a whole backstory and everything, because he monologues about it in various late night campfire scenes. I wasn't really paying attention to them though, but I guess he used to be a boy that got cursed and turned into an umbrella somehow. But we are not done with the royal family yet, because there are even more members that have only appeared once before. Like, remember King Fret and Prince Pine? Didn't think so. These guys only appeared in Yoshi's Safari, and I don't know, they're just a generic king and prince. Not much much to them, but literally this is the only instance of a prince that I can ever recall in any game from the Mario series. So could this actually be the prince to Princess Peach? I don't know, maybe. And finally, we're ending with this little robot guy. He's called Mini Speec and has only appeared in one Mario game that's actually pretty recent. But literally no one has played this game, which is why he's so forgotten. And that game is Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge. Yeah, how many of you played this one, honestly? You play as all these mini toys of Mario characters in the game, and this guy is just like the one generic robot toy. And that's really it, I guess. Like, man, I didn't play this game. All I know is that this guy is one very forgotten Mario character. See you all later.